been preparing for this for a couple of months now because we're going to be walking through this series with the youth group. But I was thinking of a man named Wade. Wade has got almost 20 years of life experience on me. I'm about ready to turn 28. He's about ready to turn 50. We couldn't be more different in terms of interests, in terms of our background, in terms of life experience. I mean, he's almost two of me, right? But because of our shared faith in Jesus Christ, something miraculous has happened. This is the type of guy, just real quick, that looks at St. Joe as big city living. So, to Dallas, Fort Worth, we're like this little country town in the middle of nowhere, right? But to a guy who lives in Ada, Oklahoma, which, if you haven't heard of it, I'm not surprised, with a few thousand people compared to our almost 100, this guy looks at me as this like city boy, right? And he's more of this backwoods, country living type of fella. But because of our shared faith in Christ, I was able to meet him at camp a couple of months ago. And I might have told you guys a little bit about him, or some of you. Wade has a son who is 16 and comes to camp as a camper. And if you guys don't know anything about Camp Barnabas, it's a camp for people who have developmental and physical disabilities where they can come and they can just live life like you and I get to do every other day. So Wade comes down to camp, right? He wouldn't have came to this camp had it not been for his faith, and my shared faith brings me to camp every year. And so I meet him, and he tells me about his teenage son who has a heart condition that will eventually end his life. And we spent most nights under the stars, crying out to God, begging God for healing for his son, reminding each other the truths of the scriptures, what the gospel means, about how because of his faith in Christ that he professes in, that when he dies, he's going to a place where there is no disease. He will walk again. And he will get to be with the God that he was created to dwell with. And as we went throughout the week at camp, this happened. Every day we got to know each other a little more. And I can say this because Wade told me this, but he would tell you that my coming to camp and meeting him where he was at was of divine direction, that it was something that God did because he needed encouraged in a time that he was low. But truly I tell you, church, that it was me whose life was changed because that man brought a perspective of the gospel that I couldn't empathize with before. Some things clicked in a different way. So I'm reminded of Wade in this text in my life.